I was debating on making videos for a while and experimented with it a bit, but ultimately dropped the idea. However, recent events have reignited my interest in this. This is probably going to be very low quality because I'm not a professional, but I feel like this is more or less urgent because there is something here that is not being said. So, obviously, the assassination of Charlie Kirk has left pretty much everyone on the right shocked for various reasons, particularly more mainstream conservatives, of course also moderates. His death itself is shocking, of course, and open-air political assassination was pretty much unthinkable in 21st century Western civilization up until now. But I think the more shocking thing, and a lot of people seem to be agreeing on this, is the reaction that the left has had to it. I'm not going to go over that in detail here, everyone's talked about it, we've all seen it. The thing is, many people are calling this a mask-off moment for the left. I don't really agree with that. What is happening now is that conservatives and moderates are catching up to where the left has been at for over a decade at this point. The phrase, "but what if the roles were reversed," has become a meme because of how all mainstream conservative talking points pretty much boil down to that sentiment. It's a liberal mindset. We're all equal, we're one nation, so we should all be treated the same. And it's from there, what would have been considered a left-wing mindset in the 20th century, that they oppose things like DEI. They believed that the modern left wing also held egalitarian values, and so when they saw left-wingers not adhering to such values, they accused them of hypocrisy and irrationality. Oh, the left is stupid, the left are crazy, the left are making a mistake. We share common ground with the left, so if we just reason harder, they will change their mind. The harsh truth is that the most delusional people in all of this, the actual ones with zero clue as to what is going on, is the mainstream right, not the left. Many people are not going to want to hear this, but the fact is, the left are not hypocritical, nor are they irrational. If you look at it from their perspective, their position makes perfect sense. And like I said, if you've been paying attention, this is a position they have had for a very long time now. Remember Punch a Nazi? This is Punch a Nazi taken to its logical conclusion. That's all it is. This is why there was never any chance of reasoning them out of their beliefs. You can't reason someone out of a position that is itself grounded in reason. And before you go crazy, I'll explain what I mean when I say grounded in reason. The reason is tribalism. Tribalism is one of the most core, fundamental instincts of the human condition. It evolved that way over hundreds of thousands of years as a survival mechanism. When you're in a group, you're safe. Everyone covers each other's back, nobody's a threat to one another due to their shared identity. And people naturally prioritize themselves over all others, which would ordinarily lead to instability and chaos. But this can be circumvented by forming a singular unit of which everyone is a part. Seeing themselves and their neighbours, they can cooperate and flourish. Far from being unreasonable, this mentality is literally the origin of civilization. The catch, though, is that in order to have that unity, you have to give up your individuality. The tribe needs to have shared morals, shared goals, shared iconography. You have to go along with what the tribe wants, because it can only function as a monolith. Your membership of the tribe is defined by whether you believe what the tribe believes. And people in the tribe treat each other with respect because they are in the same tribe. So if you put these two things together, you can see, if you don't agree with the values of a tribe, you are not in that tribe. And that tribe, therefore, has no obligation to respect you. Who cares if he got punched? He wasn't in the tribe. Who cares if he died? He wasn't in the tribe. The only thing people in the tribe need to care about is defending their tribe from outsiders through whatever means necessary. The delusion that moderates and conservatives have been under is the idea that tribes are defined in the modern world by borders. This has not been the case for decades. Your fellow American, your fellow Englishman, your fellow European, by no means do they necessarily share any of your values. The left wing and the right wing are the new tribes. This is how people have been divided up. You will be walking past people, standing side by side with people of a different tribe every single day. The left-wing tribe has absolutely nothing in common with the right-wing tribe, so they are going to fight. And that's why this is happening. And from their perspective, if the left don't do this, the values of the right will be forced on them. And they can't have that, because it would destroy their tribe. And this is why there is no point trying to convince the left about anything. They are already in a tribe, they don't need to join yours, and if you try and make them, they're going to be violent. None of this has anything to do with who's right or who's wrong, in a moral sense, by the way, because the truth is, that never mattered. And this is where the assassination really reminded me of something I've been thinking about for a long time. What is the actual nature of empathy? As far as I see it, humans by nature are selectively empathetic. We have more empathy for some people and less for others based on our own biases. For example, if there's a trolley problem and my brother's on one of the tracks and a random person I don't know is on the other track, I'm diverting the trolley to the random guy 100% of the time. But if the brother of that guy was making the decision, he'd divert it to my brother 100% of the time. And if it was even like 10 random people, I'd still choose to save my brother. If you wouldn't, there's something wrong with you. And that's the thing about leftists coming out and saying, why are you mourning Charlie when there's children dying in Palestine? Or what about the school shootings? First of all, nobody is saying those are good things. I'll get back to that. The reason is that people know Charlie. Many people met him. Many people were big fans of him. Obviously, it's the nature of being a public figure. He is going to inspire people and create some form of emotional attachment. So, of course, people are going to care about him more than some Palestinians halfway around the world they have never seen, they've never met, they don't know anything about them. Yes, to the Palestinians and all the activists going to Palestine and who know people in Palestine, the Palestinian deaths are going to matter more than Charlie's. That doesn't mean every single person has to have the same level of empathy towards them. That's not how empathy works. And by the way, they definitely wouldn't be bringing up Palestine or school shootings if it was, say, Zoran Mamdani who got assassinated. Like, imagine them saying, why does everyone care so much about Zoran Mamdani dying when there are hundreds of children dead in school shootings and no one said anything? Yeah, nobody will be doing that, because he's part of their tribe, so he matters to them. And Charlie isn't, so he doesn't. My condolences to anyone who gets consoled by one of these leftists, by the way. Yeah, I know your mother just died, but there's a genocide happening in Palestine, so you should really care more about that right now. But anyway, what got me really thinking about empathy was actually a couple of years ago with the whole OceanGate disaster. The cold hard truth that nobody wants to admit is that because empathy is subjective, it is inevitable that people will have zero empathy for certain people. The obvious examples are when it comes to rapists, murderers, nonces, and so on. But it can also be true for people that someone doesn't know at all. Like, yes, they can acknowledge something as a tragedy, but are they actually going to genuinely care? Probably not. And that's what I saw with OceanGate. Loads and loads of people were making excuses as to why they weren't upset about it. Oh, they were billionaires, oh, they were the 1%, so it was actually a good thing, or whatever. They had to spin it in a way that made them look moral because hating rich people is a moral good for them. Also, they could avoid admitting the truth, which was, they just don't care. They had no connection to them, so they didn't care. And I'll admit, I was in a similar boat there. I mean, I didn't feel emotionally impacted by it really at all. Now, if it was my family in the Titan boat, then yes, obviously it'd be a different story. But that's not hypocrisy. It's just how empathy works. This modern, quote-unquote, enlightened idea that we have to show empathy to all humans equally is just complete nonsense. And it's so stupid because literally no one actually believes it. It's a utopian liberal fantasy that everyone is pretending is just being decent and you're a terrible person if you don't believe that. But when it comes down to it, nobody puts it into practice. Nobody. And if you go around like these conservatives and moderates, thinking there are actually people who think like that, you are going to be shocked when these people show you what humans are really like. What we should have been doing is learning from history. There are some parts of history where people look at them and go, oh, that would never happen today, because they don't want to accept there are people around today who would do such things. For example, the Colosseum, public executions, ritual sacrifice, people going out and having a good time watching other people be killed. The people back then were all fine with those things for the same reason the leftists today are fine with Charlie Kirk being killed. They just didn't have empathy for the people being killed. If they built a Colosseum today and only threw right-wing chuds in there, you know the leftists would be queuing up. Queuing up! The ones celebrating death today are the exact same as the ones who were celebrating it hundreds of years ago. Humanity is brutal. That's been true in every single era, and it's true in this one. Just quickly, I also want to, just for my own sake, because I'm seeing this everywhere, and I'm sure you've all been seeing it everywhere, and it's really frustrating. I just want to give a defense for Charlie on the whole Second Amendment thing, since he can't do it anymore. The leftists are of course calling it ironic that he was killed by a gun after defending guns. But it's not, because he never advocated for the Second Amendment to be used offensively. If he had, encouraged people to shoot their political enemies, then yes, it would be ironic. And he definitely never said that, because if he did, the quote would already be everywhere. The Second Amendment debate has always been about defending yourself from the government. I myself actually changed my mind on this issue not too long ago, as I'm now feeling very unsafe here in the UK because we're pretty much powerless to do anything against our government, who keep fucking us over more and more, taking away what should be our rights. Who knows what they're going to do next. And it wasn't long ago they were talking about the draft. Like, it's the fact that we don't have guns that gives the government a monopoly on violence. It's not that nobody has guns, it's that our rulers have all of the guns. That's the worst case scenario. But the point is, it's not ironic that he advocated for the right to self-defense and then got murdered. And yes, that quote going around about victims of gun violence being necessary sacrifices or whatever was definitely an inflammatory way of putting it. I wouldn't have put it like that. But the argument itself is actually perfectly reasonable. It becomes obvious when you replace the word guns with something else, like some deaths per year is a necessary sacrifice so we can have cars. As insensitive to car crash victims as that may sound, who would actually disagree with this? It's just a matter of if you consider the thing you are keeping around worth it. And Charlie saw the protection of the Constitution, the very foundation of his country, to be worth it. The left don't agree because they don't see guns as having any good use, which is the true irony, considering they are using them right now to further their political goals. And I know someone may say, well, there are more gun deaths than car deaths now in America, but if anything, that's a point for the pro-gun argument. The reason being, because gun violence has been sharply rising year by year, while car deaths have stayed relatively consistent, it would suggest that the current levels of gun violence are not a natural consequence of guns, the same way that the current levels of car accidents are a natural consequence of cars. It's the same with the knife crime in the UK right now, which has gone way up in the last decade or so. These weapons are not the problem. They are a symptom of the problem, which is an immoral, broken, failing society that is driving people to violence. Banning guns, banning knives, it's not going to solve anything. Now, while I did say the left have not exactly done anything new here, this event is particularly significant for how much they are destroying their own optics, all because of who they have chosen to target. And it's not because he was a moderate or whatever. They can call him a Nazi if they want, it really doesn't matter. It's the fact that Charlie held no position of actual political power. He was unable to affect anyone's life directly, not through policy or anything. And the most you could say he had done was express his opinions. So that raises the question, what opinion of Charlie's was it that got him killed? Which specific opinion? It couldn't be the combination of opinions because it would make no sense for each separate opinion to be acceptable on its own, but not together. Well, going by what I've already seen, the left is not able to provide a single answer here. I think if you polled leftists on what Charlie Kirk's deadly opinion was, you would get answers for every single thing he thought. For every opinion he expressed, there is someone out there who would consider that justification for his death. This is why the left is so dangerous. Anyone who shares even one opinion with Charlie Kirk has a target on their back. Anyone who doesn't assimilate into the left-wing tribe has a target on their back. That is a lot of people, I'd say even the majority of people. It certainly includes me. And we can see in practice as well. Leftists on Blue Sky are now calling for J.K. Rowling as one of the next to be assassinated. And she is a prime example of someone who shares only one of Charlie's opinions, that being on the trans issue. So, if the left want to smash fascism, as they call it, they are going to have to kill a fucking lot of people. An insane number of people. They've committed to it. That's what it's going to take for them to get their socialist utopia. So it's not because they have a policy of killing people necessarily, but because they have revealed just how many people are on their hit list that has made the left lose the moral high ground once and for all. I've already been seeing left-wing apologists going around using whataboutism to defend their ideology. Oh, what about these terrorist attacks? What about neo-Nazis talking about TND? They don't realise how deep the hole they're digging here is. Dragging themselves down to the absolute lowest of the low, to the level of the most extreme fringe right-wingers in the world, and being proud of it. The new slogan of the left-wing movement: we are just as bad. We are exactly as bad as the people we are accusing our enemies of being, and that's a good thing. Up until now, the winning strategy for the left has been to present themselves as the good guys, the empathetic position, guided by love and kindness and not by anger and hate like those evil right-wingers. The right-wingers are the intolerant ones who use violence to get what they want. Well, now, the left have made being intolerant and using violence to get what they want part of their ideology. So, what is it that makes their enemy so much more evil compared to them? They can claim all they want that the right wants to kill them, but that means nothing when they are openly advocating for killing right-wingers. The only difference is who is being killed. It's pure tribalism. There's no morality to be found. Why should I believe that they even care about the lives of Palestinians or school children when they are simply using them as a cudgel to justify the left's murders? Traditionally, the divide between right and left-wing thinking is a divide between pragmatism and idealism, respectively. This is where the left's critique of the right has always come from. The right claims that things will never be perfect, and tough decisions must be made for the greater good, while the left accuses this attitude of being inhumane, and that there is a better alternative that can lead to happiness for all. And Charlie Kirk's stance on the Second Amendment is a perfect example of a typically conservative opinion. It's not that the results themselves are evil, it's that the way to get there is, according to the left. Their incessant critique of middle-class suburbia comes from the same sentiment. Idyllic as it may be, it was built on a pile of corpses, therefore it is bad. But their socialist utopia would never be built on a pile of corpses. Except they've just admitted that it now will be, because they are going to have to kill every single right-winger and every single moderate in order to achieve it. The left are out of their element. If, according to them, both their ideal world and the right's ideal world are going to require great sacrifice to achieve, then the question is no longer about what sacrifices are necessary, but about what their ideal world actually is. Take it from me, it's not a good one. This is a debate that they cannot and will never win. One more thing. If nothing else, I think this event has proven, from both right and left-wing perspectives, that we as a species will never move past tribalism. But what was it that created these two tribes in the first place? What drove them to become so radically different from each other? The answer to this is the final, hard truth. This is the fault of democracy. Democracy is a system that not only creates, but depends on division. Without it, it would serve no purpose. If everyone was in agreement over how society should be run, what would they need to vote over? Democracy forms tribes, known as political parties, designed to hold conflicting views in the name of freedom of choice. These parties then clash and stoke tensions in what is nothing less than ideological warfare. In this sense, the entire West has been at war for many years already. Charlie Kirk is simply the latest victim of this war. So long as democracy continues, people will continue to suffer and fight. No amount of rationality or goodwill is going to stop it. The left, I believe, realised this a long time ago, more or less since 2016, and the right is now starting to realise it too. Democracy is a twisted game, with the victory condition being its own destruction. And that is what extremists on both sides are now going to seek. The liberal world order has failed. It died in spirit on the campus of UVU, and it is sure to die in name within our lifetimes.